about Team Alternate Sweep over Counter Logic Gaming. And maybe starting off in Champ Select, where we saw that CLG was kind of seemed out of their element.
Yeah, there were a couple things they did that I thought was really weird. So go back to game 1 a little bit, and they banned out Lee Sin. And then they go into the second game, they're like, actually, we want to take away Shyvana, but leave Lee Sin up, which meant they didn't really know it was actually contested with Alternate, because they just leave him back on the table, but they didn't even take away Shyvana the first time around. And then they ban out the Leona, but then leave up Thresh immediately. So they're really just like trading good picks back to Alternate and leaving them to play whatever they want. In fact, the same thing happened again with the mid lane pick, where I thought CLG took red side because they wanted a counter pick. And so they leave their mid lane for last, and Crumbs and I are like, oh, they want to play Orianna here in game 1. And so Kurt preempts them and picks Gragas, which is a counter pick to Orianna, and then CLG kind of waits and goes, Nidalee's okay against Double Bruiser, right? And it kind of fails. And then the second time around, they rush the Gragas pick, and then that gets dumpstered by Syndra. So again, their mid lane counter pick doesn't work. I mean, it's not a counter pick this time around, but again, their attempt to get a good mid lane pick fails both times, and it felt like they didn't quite know what they wanted to do in Champ Select.
And part of League of Legends in itself is adapting to the next patch, and that's not to say that CLG hasn't adapted whatsoever, but you know, we talk about the top 3 in the top lane now, that trinity of Renekton and Shyvana and Mundo. First game, they were glanced over in bans. Mundo was picked, but nobody else looked at that trinity, right, to ban out. Shyvana was also picked. And then a second game that wasn't given any respect, Mundo went through again, and the other bans were trying to take up, you know, adapt to the patch. It's been what's played in EU. We saw the games have problems because of those champions, because they're so formidable right now.
And I do have to commend Nien because he held up his lane both times.
Yeah.
So 1v1, held up in minions, and I do have to commend Nien for that, but you're right, when teamfights broke out, Kevin was just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely strong performance by Alternate. And if you are CLG right now, what do you take from this? Of course, this was only the first game. They're going to have tons of them on the season. What will they take from this?
I think number 1, they've got to take some better shape of their lanes, because the only person who held up in the laning phase was Nien. Doublelift and Aphromoo lost their lane both times. No, first one, okay, there was this level 1 gimmick. It was a nice little trick there. But then game 2, they just got out-laned. Link, both times, 1v1 matchup, got to pick second the first time, got counterpicked in game 2, both times lost his lane. That's the sort of key first point I think CLG needs to shore up.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'll see how their lineup develops as the season goes on. But of course, with their win, Team Alternate has earned Europe 1 point and a tie in the Battle of the Atlantic. Of course, tomorrow coming up will be the 2 more points on the line when XZG take on Gambit Gaming, and then